Alright, evening traders, we've got ourselves a little big event coming up in 19 minutes now, so it's pretty close. Now, as we go through this every month, right, it's very important that we frame the number in the right way. Alright, so each time you come into this number, you need to be acutely aware of how the market's been going in the last couple of weeks, where we're at in terms of structure, what pairs are overbought, oversold, and how important the number is for, changing central bank decision-making processes. Okay, now this one in particular is interesting because you have the the Fed March rate coming up next Wednesday, which is priced in at 100%, basically 95%. Now this means that this number shouldn't really affect that percentage. Alright, so there is a fair bit baked into the price because the market's been front running this rate decision since last week. They started to talk it up. Market odds have changed dramatically, and the market's already had this big rally all the way up to some pretty key resistance past 115 into the day, rallying to day highs into the announcement on the dollar yen. Now this sets up a little bit of asymmetric risk, which is, the market's priced in not just a 180k number, it's probably priced in, 210 to 250 sort of number. This sort of number that comes out now to get higher than we are currently, to move the market that next leg higher, to break these sort of ranges that have been developing. Aussie dollar on 75, dollar yen at 115.50, euro 105. It requires, a super stellar number that won't adjust this month's rate decision in the Fed, but 3 months from now, increase the odds of a second rate rise. Now that's a big ask. That's a big ask for the market to come out and push higher today. And even if the number comes in stellar, you've got to be very wary that, NFP is a very common whipping market, right? So you usually get both directions going in the day. And I suggest that today is going to be one of those days that if you're going to pull a reversal on the US dollar, you pull it today, right? You pull it today because there's lots of what you would call weak longs in the market, and their stops would be pretty heavy, 50 to 100 points away. So that's the thing I'm looking out for. I'm looking for a strong number, but I'm cautious that the strong number is not going to lead to the price action that traders want, and we could get profit taking that turns into a stop loss run on the downside on dollar yen. And we've got a peculiar situation with the big bear, which is the euro, in that it's having a nice little relief rally on the back of the ECB being a bit more neutral and a bit more upbeat going forward, starting to turn the ship around. You can imagine that it's a slow moving tanker ship and it's just started its turn, right? I mean, it's no longer going to be easing again, basically what they've said, and easing further, and they're just going to continue with the current pace of easing and look to taper it, maybe at the end of the year. Now that is that's signaling to the market that we're closer to the end than the beginning, right? And then the market likes to price forward, and this is opening the door here to a euro rally, and a quite substantial one. If the market wants to run that the bottom's in terms of yields in the eurozone, then the potential for big moves for the euro top side get greater. Now if the euro wants to do that at the same time that there's a profit taking run on dollar yen, or just US dollar just generally, then that can intensify this little whip that we're talking about. Right, so the euro is very important to watch. Usually we don't watch the euro, we only watch dollar yen on a day like today, because it's just a straight up dollar yen high on good number, dollar yen low on a weak number, and euro is not going to have too much more influence to that. But it's almost like the euro would be a lot higher right now if it wasn't for this. And it's also set up a third play, which we don't usually look at, and that's euro yen. Euro yen is all of a sudden a stronger, faster moving dollar yen. Alright, so the euro yen is the combination of the two. And with the euro rallying and the dollar yen rallying, you're getting a double extension here in the euro yen. So the preferred way that I'm looking to be playing this market today is any dollar yen weakness to be jumped across onto a euro yen and looking to buy the euro yen dip. And I'm not going to be trying to get a 120, 130, or that would be ideal. I'm trying to get a, even at these levels, maybe a 122, 120, 180. Alright, so I'm trying to buy on a dip here. Now, if the market doesn't want to play nice and we do get a straight up rally here, which is also a possibility, just I think a minor possibility, because I don't think the market's in any mood to sort of break out today, even on a stellar number. It becomes a little bit harder, because how do you play this, at that stage? The market will then shoot higher on the euro yen because dollar yen shoots higher. Might get to 122, 123, 123.20, then start to pull back, and then we can look at buying that dip. But that's a little bit less risk reward. I like to be buying the dip here, 120, 180, a little bit more 121, 20. Just generally, I think the euro yen has a lot of upside potential in the next couple of weeks. Euro might be ignored, and they might go after pound, they might go after Aussie, and dollar yen, if it's strong, euro yen's going to be doubly strong. So this is a pair I'm looking at as the main way of playing this event. So usually we just play dollar yen straight up, looking to buy that dip. Now we can buy that dip on dollar yen at 115. Yeah, that's great. 114.60 would be ideal, because next week is probably going to be pretty strong, right, with the Fed raising rates. Just leading into that announcement, you'll be long into Wednesday, closing out before the announcement, where Yellen may disappoint with her language. Right, so there's that chance as well, and so that's the the gameplay. Basically, we're looking to buy with the trend on dips. If the market's super strong, it's 275, and the market goes up to 116, and pulls back to 115.60 or even 115.40. We can still buy that, but that's not as fun as a 210 and the market falling because wage growth is not strong. Right, so something like the internals, the market might give an excuse with the internals, because there's not just the NFP, which is been upgraded actually. 200 was 185. That's since the ADP came out so strong. ADP was 298, just a stellar number coming in ADP. So everyone's now expecting higher, right? And the market's already priced so much US dollar strength. The average earnings, right, which have shown very lackluster movement, that needs to start to pick up too, for really to be to a 0.4 on this and a 230 on this. You got yourself a major rally in the US dollar. But you get a 0.2 and a 210, you can get some shenanigans tonight, right? This is going to be a little bit interesting. The other thing that we will be keeping an eye on, apart from the stock market, which is had a pullback and is starting to turn a little bit as well, is the US yields. Now the 10-year back in December got all the way up to 2.64. If it breaks 2.64 today, US dollar strength will continue. Dollar yen will make fresh highs. Very hard to stop that, if that happens. Yeah, you don't want to trade before the announcement. That makes it a lot harder for you, because then you got to react, but we're going to be trading after the announcement, acutely aware of the chance of a reversal, and so that means no buying with a strong number unless you're super aggressive, right? You don't want to be buying at 115.80 on a 270 number, because that's just asking for trouble, in my opinion, right? The same with selling the euro on a stellar number, because the euro is trying to rally with that ECB, and it's showing some range trading potential. So you don't want to be testing the euro at say, I don't know, 105.80, 105.70. Oh, it's a really big number. Euro's going down. No, don't do that. That's asking for trouble too. That's not just the whip, but just general euro strength may be in play in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll be flipping over to the euro yen, watching this one closely. In fact, I'm pretty confident with this trade. I'm going to put a little pending order in. Now this is dangerous if the number comes in, say 150,000. Then the market will be like, wow, and the profit taking will be really aggressive. But it won't be so aggressive on the euro yen because euro will shoot high, dollar yen will shoot lower, and the euro yen will be stuck in that little cross current. Obviously, it will go lower because dollar yen will move faster than the euro. That's just generally how it goes. But and it's also very short term overboard. But I think it's not a bad way if you want to place a pending order. It's not a bad way of playing it. Yeah, I'm not afraid to be buying euro yen on the dip here. So dollar CAD has been wrecked by just general oil collapsing, and we're not going to be trading dollar CAD today. But oil being wrecked and US dollar strength and commodity complex just generally being wrecked. So Aussie dollar got sold, Kiwi dollar's being sold aggressively. Dollar CAD was already getting sold. I mean, the Canadian dollar was getting sold, so dollar CAD was already in a movement before this week. So it had its spacing down at that 130 level. A few attempts, fail. Started to rally. This is before the big news, and the market just continued higher as the oil crash. So yeah, I mean, short term it's a little bit overboard, but you know, it's probably the worst currency to try and pick a top in at the moment, because oil, you don't know, right? You don't know it's coming back up. That's for sure. And if oil's not going back up, there's no reason to be selling dollar CAD. You should be buying Aussie dollar if you want to play that game, which is looking for the yield, looking for a strong or stability in the markets, strong stock markets. Alright, so 7 minutes until the announcement comes out. Let's have a little look at some of the previews. Goldman Sachs 215, Bank of America 185, Barclays 200, TD 225, Nomura 235. Oh, that's the top end. Let's have a look at Nomura's little rant. So they're pretty bullish. That's the top end of expectations here. They've increased it since the ADP report by 20,000. And the ISM manufacturing report, which came out, had a very strong internal on the job growth area subsector. Employment index here, ISM manufacturing, it's jumped up 54. Services, sorry. So yeah, look, expectations are very high here. Should I close my short Kiwi? Yeah, I mean, look, it's up to you. I mean, it's at a key level, 68.80 J money. Yeah, if that breaks, then daily, right? You got some huge downside. Yeah, so it's pretty close. Strong number. US dollar breaks. I mean, Kiwi's just getting hit anyway. Yeah, it's not the worst trade. I'd probably want to sell higher, given the risk here that the market's overbought the US dollar into this event. I did not know that, Lazarus. Lazarus in the chat there saying February is the most miscalculated NFP number by analysts over the last 5 years. Is that because of the winter? Is that because it's hard to adjust for weather? You know, a big weather storm versus, you know, small weather storms? Interesting point though. 4 minutes. Yeah, look, I'm hoping it's actually like a 200 with a slightly, weaker number there in wage growth, so you can get a pullback, because I want to buy this pullback. In many ways, euro is going higher, so that's something to keep an eye on here. This is also important to be watching here, because the US has been pulling back since Trump's speech, namely because of his comments, the commodities pulling back, and also profit taking in general from the bigger pool. Also, his comments on pharmaceuticals didn't help. He's going to start trying to force them lower. Pound is just leave the pound alone. Yeah, it's not really a fundamental currency anymore. It's a political currency. So there's a lot going on there. If it was a normal update, we'd be looking at some of the specifics to that one. We'll have a big update on Monday. Next week's pretty important. Bit of profit taking coming through here on the dollar yen. You can see that it's easing back down. Nothing to do with anything though, it's just profit taking. You can see the Dow Jones is not reacting, so it's not like there's negative news, anything. It's just a bit of US dollar weakness, bit of adjustments here. Alright, 1 minute to go, guys. Now, I don't have my Reuters machine from work here. I don't have any access to the stuff which banks and hedge funds and big traders use. So the fastest way I've really been using to get the news lately is actually Twitter. Seems about as quick as possible. I mean, it just updated pretty quick there. It's I mean, you can use Forex Factory, you can use the TV, but that's still going to be delayed as well. And if you don't have real-time updates, which are also delayed if you're not getting embargoed release like Reuters or Bloomberg, then it's probably best just to have up a good selection here. Good selection of readings. Alright. 10 seconds. Extremely muted price action. Must be a little underwhelming. Let's have a look at the internals. Oh, you are failing me today, computer. Internals are 225 or smack bang. The internal we're looking for though is the hourly earnings. Hourly earnings have come in at 0.2. Ooh, that sweet spot mix. Okay, we're going to get ourselves a little bit of a pullback here in dollar yen. We might just go straight into some euro yen. It's got the most potential here, I think, to be rallying. That's a sweet spot number. That's a sweet spot number. That's not going to cause any issues. Euro's been given the green light to continue its little warpath. Dollar yen's not going to pull back too aggressively on that number, you'd expect. So let's see if we can squeeze higher in the euro. US stocks are loving it too, so that's another reason not to be too aggressive on any sort of counter trend. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting number. That's an interesting number. See if we can't get some euro yen action higher. So why we're going euro yen again is that euro has a chance to rally here. Dollar yen have pulled back, but then dollar yen rallies later. And euro yen is probably going to be the main beneficiary of that sort of move. And yeah, it seems to me there's a clean way of playing it. Nice action on the Aussie. Very good here. Am I going to get scared and close early? Maybe. Almost definitely, actually. I got to be excited there, guys. I will be buying this again, but I'll try and buy it again a little bit cheaper than that. I just want to see what happens there. You know, it's a whip, right? You're going to get a whip. Now, the whip might just be straight up euro buying, but dollar yen breaks down, then you get a little bit of pullback here in the euro yen as well. Got a little bit excited. It might be okay, but it's just not my way of playing it. Is that all you're going to give us, market? Is that all the volatility you're going to give us? Yeah, I wonder if you close out your Kiwi dollar, that would be probably a good decision. J Money, you've been given a little bit of time there to close that out. So remember, we're here, we're looking to be buying dollar yen on the dip or buying euro yen on the dip. That's the numbers slightly weak, but not really weak enough to change anything. I want to play euro yen though. I like the euro in general now. So not strong enough to support the rally into this number. We will see a little bit of US dollar pullback. We're sitting on our hands trying to let it run through. Dollar yen pullback here has pulled down the euro yen here. So we're going to wait for that to stabilize and we'll get into a bit of euro yen. Just trying to be patient. Very muted. Very muted. Should we go in? Should we go in? Alright, let's go back in. Give ourselves a little taste of something. So yeah, now we just hope that the euro outperforms, right? That's what we're hoping for now. That's just the main trade. There wasn't enough variability there to get a big whip in the market, so I'm not too worried about the downside here in dollar yen past 115. Euro will probably be leading any sort of rally that forced the dollar yen back below 115. So euro yen is going to be quite stable. It's topside in my opinion here. But unfortunately, we're not looking at much activity. It's just a little roadblock, right? A little stop sign in the euro yen rally. That's just what we had there. And you know, we've just been basically passed through to say, well, if you like the euro yen higher, it's nothing to stop you now. That's just my take on it, guys. Always trade safely with stops. You don't want to get into too much trouble. You know, it takes one story out of France to kill you. Have a little look at that. 2160. So I'll probably be closing this before I go to sleep early Saturday, just for weekend risk sort of style. I just want to see a nice little pop higher in the coming hours. US stocks are probably going to resume uptrend today on the back of those numbers. Alright guys, as we've been starting to develop a little tradition here, we're going to have Andrew and Jason taking over shortly. They'll be able to take you over some of the continued reaction here. Hopefully you found it informative, just coming to see how we approach the market on a big announcement like this. One of the main things is to try not to get too trigger happy, right? And also just be aware that it's a shenanigans sort of trading day, and the shenanigans might be beginning. It's a fairly big candle wicks going on there. Lucky for us, we're in a pair which is not so directly exposed to the US dollar, and so we're still making a little bit of money here. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Tomorrow, Monday, I'll be back at 9 GMT, so just after the UK Open. You're going to have just our morning briefing. We'll be starting to look at the Fed announcements more closely. Also, we'll look at some of the Brexit developments. Next week's a pretty important week for Brexit. If they're going to trigger Article 50 early, it's probably going to be next week. There's a couple of days where it might be triggered. On the 14th or 15th actually, so Tuesday or Wednesday. Alright, good luck with your trading, guys. I'll see if Andrew and Jason, the two mentors in the trading room, are ready to take over. Yeah, these guys should be ready really soon, guys. So this is in for a little bit of a treat. They're going to go over their favorite trades setups going forward.
farm payroll with Tony. Thanks a lot for that, Tony. You do a great job. I'm really happy that you take control of that thing because it can be a little crazy. You know, the numbers, you can see what's going on now. Did you get a chance to watch some of it, Andrew?
I wasn't watching Tony so much, but I know he does a great job normally. For me, it's yeah. I mean, he's a great caller, and he gets the crosses right, and it gives me a good answer sometimes. But I wasn't able to watch it today.